please welcome to the show, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, did you ever
What's
think
up,
you'd
guys?
be back? Cheers.
Excited to be back.
Cheers.
Don't worry. I got this nice.
Caitlin Clark just sat down with Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, and I'm telling you right now, this wasn't just a chill little interview. Nah, she unleashed, she talked locker room rumors, she called out Cheryl Swoopes' wild claims, she clapped back at Diana with the smoothest smile you've ever seen, and somehow, she managed to do it all with that same calm, confident energy we've come to expect. But this time, it felt different, like she's not just reacting to the noise anymore, she's owning it. This wasn't some polished PR piece or rookie media training moment. This was unfiltered, funny, personal, and yeah, it got real. Caitlin didn't just drop sound bites. She gave us receipts, stories, and a whole lot of truth. And if you think that's all, wait until you hear what she said about Paige Buchers, the weight room transformation, and how she really feels heading into this season with a revamped Fever roster. Oh, and spoiler alert, the over-under on her technical fouls this season? Yeah, that part's hilarious. Let's break it all down.
What will the league have in store for them when they get there? Okay.
You know, there's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you know, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
Because Caitlin Clark just showed the entire basketball world she's not just here to play. She's here to run the conversation. All right, so here's what's going on. Caitlin Clark, yeah, that Caitlin Clark, just sat down on a live Zoom call with Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, two of the most respected names in WNBA history. Now that alone is already a headline. You've got a rookie phenom in a virtual room with two legends who've literally shaped the game. But what made this interview hit different was how real it got. This wasn't some surface level, how's training camp going kind of vibe. From the second Caitlin popped up on screen, you could just tell. She wasn't there to play it safe. The energy was loose, the filters were off, and the conversation, it went way deeper than anyone expected. We're talking everything from locker room dynamics to facing legends like Diana on the court to how she's prepping physically and mentally for a monster WNBA season. And yeah, she even cracked jokes about viral gym photos, called out misinformation, and dropped some subtle but spicy comebacks you're definitely gonna want to hear again. But what really stood out? Caitlin held her own. You'd think sharing. A screen with Sue and Diana might be intimidating for a rookie, right? Not for her. She was confident, sharp, and completely comfortable in the spotlight. She wasn't just being interviewed, she was in the conversation, like she'd been there for years. And that's what made this interview feel different. It wasn't about checking boxes, it was about Caitlin stepping into her moment, unfiltered, unbothered, and totally in control. All right, let's talk about one of the most iconic full-circle moments we've seen in women's basketball media in a long time. So, rewind the clock to last year. Caitlin Clark is still tearing it up at Iowa, lighting up college basketball like a walking cheat code. Meanwhile, over on ESPN, Diana Taurasi, a living legend, gets asked about all the hype surrounding college stars like Caitlin and Angel, Reese and what's waiting for them once they hit the WNBA, and Diana, in classic Taurasi fashion, no fluff, no filter, drops the now infamous line, "Reality is coming." The clip exploded. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, everyone had something to say. Some took it as tough love, others said it was shade, but whether you loved it or hated it, it instantly became the quote that followed Caitlin into the league.
Reality is coming.
Okay.
Now fast forward. Caitlin's in the WNBA. She's played against the best. She's battled through matchups, led her team, and silenced a lot of doubters. And now, here she is, face to face, well, screen to screen, with Sue Bird and Diana, herself. And when Diana congratulates her on entering the league, Caitlin doesn't get defensive. She doesn't try to talk big, she just smiles, calmly, sips from her cup like it's a movie scene. And then she says, "Congrats on your retirement. Beat, unfortunately, reality is coming. For me now." And the delivery, flawless. Just enough of a wink to acknowledge what was said. Just enough confidence to flip the quote without sounding petty. It was classy, sharp, and funny. You could see it land immediately. Sue bursts out laughing. Diana smirks, and you could feel the energy shift. Not in a tense way, in a respectful way. Like, all right, this girl's got it. This wasn't about proving a point. This was about owning the moment, and Caitlin did exactly that. But what makes it even better is how it reflects the bigger picture. This wasn't just a clapback, it was a passing of the torch.
Congrats on your retirement, D.
Thank you.
And congrats
Now,
to you.
unfortunately,
Well,
reality is
thanks.
coming to me now.
What's your big plans?
in early.
What are you going to do?
You know, I keep telling Sue I thought I was going to have all this time to do all these things. I'm more busy now. So if I give you any advice, play as long as possible.
We'll see. We'll get to 10 years. Then we'll think about it.
It's a 10.
Diana's been the face of fearless, gritty, passionate basketball for 2 decades. Caitlin, she's the next chapter. And this was their handshake moment. The veteran acknowledging the rookie, and the rookie standing tall with just enough edge to say, I'm here. And if you really think about it, it was kind of poetic. Diana warned that reality was coming. And Caitlin, now living it, basically said, bring it on. That's not trash talk. That's generational chemistry. That's how stars are made. Not just by what they do on the court, but how they carry themselves off of it. And in this Zoom call, surrounded by legends, Caitlin Clark didn't just hold her own. She played the moment like a vet, calm, confident. Cheryl Swoopes, Hall of Famer, respected voice, no stranger to controversy, went on air and said something that lit up WNBA Twitter like a match in a dry forest. She claimed there were players in the Indiana Fever locker room who didn't want to be there, that things were going on behind the scenes, that there were problems with the culture, and she didn't drop names, but the implication was heavy. Something was off. The narrative caught fire. People started speculating. Was it the coaching staff? Was it the rookies? Was Caitlin Clark clashing with vets? Theories flew everywhere, and the Fever stayed mostly quiet until this interview, because for the first time, Caitlin addressed it head-on. No media filter, no spin, just her talking like someone who's been in that locker room and lived it. And what did she say? That whole week was like, Indiana doesn't get along. I was like, great, that's news to me. This is the most together team I've ever been on. Let that sink in. This wasn't a defensive rookie lashing out. This was a calm, measured truth bomb from someone who's been in pressure cookers, locker rooms, and leadership roles her whole career. Caitlin didn't name names. She didn't throw shade. She just told the truth and backed it up with facts. She even pointed out that the team lost their first 8 games last season and still stuck together. No finger pointing, no drama, just a group of young players figuring it out and building chemistry the hard way. We wouldn't have turned things around if we weren't tight. That's the reason we figured it out, because we actually liked each other. Boom. That right there says everything you need to know about where Caitlin stands. She's not here for the gossip. She's not worried about outside noise. She knows what's happening inside that locker room. And it's not dysfunction. It's growth. And the best part? She didn't say it like she was trying to defend something. She said it like someone who's confident in her team, her teammates, and herself. That's leadership. That's poise. That's the kind of player who's not just here to drop 30. She's here to set the tone for the entire franchise. So yeah, Cheryl Swoopes may have stirred the pot, but Caitlin Clark just cleared the air. And she didn't need drama to do it. Just facts, composure, and a whole lot of truth. All right, let's shift from the Zoom screen to the hardwood. Because before this interview, before the banter, and before Caitlin flipped the reality is coming line back at Diana with a smile, there was that game. Their first ever matchup on the court. And it wasn't just a game, it was a moment. The setting? Phoenix mid-season, right before the Olympic break. The crowd? Absolutely electric. Fans packed the arena like it was a playoff game, not a regular season clash. The hype was insane, but so was the symbolism. This was Diana Taurasi, the greatest to ever do it, standing across from the rookie who'd been drawing record-breaking ratings, selling out college gyms, and carrying the next face of league label before she'd even played a pro minute. Diana didn't hold back in the interview. She admitted it straight up. That game felt like the last one ever played. And if you followed her career, you know that's not something she says lightly. She's been in finals, Olympics, every big stage imaginable. So for her to say that, it meant something. Caitlin remembered it too, but for a different reason. We were down like 10 or 15 and came all the way back and won, she said, with a grin that told the whole story. That wasn't just a comeback, it was a statement. A rookie-led squad rallying against a vet-heavy Mercury team on their home floor. That's not a small win. That's the kind of game that sticks with you. That builds belief. That tells you, yeah, I can do this. And you could feel it in the way Caitlin talked about it. It wasn't just pride, it was personal. That was the moment her team proved something. Not just to the fans, but to themselves.
Felt like the last game that was ever going to be played. There was such anticipation.
Well, I was saying, like, that game in Phoenix, because we only played in Phoenix one time. And it was before Olympic break. Obviously, we had All-Star there too, but it was a great game. Honestly, I'm pretty sure we were down like 10 or 15 and came all the way back and won. That was like our first like win versus a team that was above 500.
But here's the thing, even with all that competitiveness, all that fire, what stood out most in this interview was the mutual respect. Diana, who's been known to roast rookies and challenge the next gen, was genuinely reflective. She spoke about following Caitlin's college career, admiring her game, and appreciating the chance to share the court before stepping away. To finally play against her meant a lot, Diana said. You don't always get those moments. And Caitlin, she gave it right back. She wasn't starstruck. She was locked in. And now, post-game, post-hype, she can reflect on it the same way Diana did, with appreciation. Because yeah, the game was a battle, but it was also history in motion. The legend and the phenom, trading buckets, trading glances, and putting on a show that blurred the line between past and future. It wasn't about who won or lost. It was about legacy, about witnessing something bigger than basketball. And in that moment, with the lights bright and the crowd roaring, you could feel it. The torch wasn't just passed. It was shared, with respect, with fire, and with a nod that said, you got next.
What was it like for you two to play against each other?
It was amazing. You know, I've been following Caitlin for so long and been watching her college career just in awe, and to be on the court. And, you know, the first game was in Phoenix, and it felt like the last game that was ever going to be played. There was such anticipation. The crowd was going crazy. All the people that came out to see Caitlin and you know, our teams play against each other. It really was an amazing moment.
Okay, we've seen Caitlin Clark torch defenses with logo threes, lead huddles like a seasoned vet, and carry massive expectations into her rookie season. But what most people didn't expect? That viral photo. You know the one. Her arms looking absolutely jacked, biceps popping under the workout tee. It flew across social media in seconds. People were zooming in, making memes, joking about AI edits, filters, angles, gym montages. It became a whole thing. Even Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi couldn't help but bring it up in the interview. Was that real? Was that the camera angle? What are you lifting? And Caitlin? She just laughed. Totally casual, totally unfazed, and then gave the real answer. Yeah, I've been in the weight room a lot. I actually kind of enjoy it. That's the moment where you realize it's not just about the photo, it's about the work. She's not just training to survive her first WNBA season, she's training to dominate it, adding strength, balance, explosiveness, the kind of stuff that lets you absorb contact, finish through traffic, and hold your own against veteran defenders who aren't exactly taking it easy on rookies. And she didn't stop there. Caitlin went deeper, breaking down what she's been focusing on in the offseason, not just physically, but skill-wise too. I've been working on that mid-range area, adding a floater, getting more comfortable attacking the paint. That's growth, because let's be real. In college, she didn't have to take many floaters. She was pulling up from 30 feet and hitting them. But now, in the W, that in-between game is everything. Defenders are longer, stronger, smarter. You need tools, and Caitlin's building them. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. That's what separates good from great. She's not coasting off hype or leaning on old habits. She's adapting, upgrading, and doing the boring stuff, the weight room reps, the shot tweaks, the footwork drills that no one sees until it shows up in the games.
A picture that went around showing off your guns. Everyone's wondering, have you been hitting the weight room? Was it the camera angle? What happened?
Like, how did you do that? I've been trying to do that for 20 years.
AI is getting out of control. Come on.
What are
Trying to
you
get
doing in the off
stronger.
season, working on your game?
You're trying to get stronger, like a lot of time in the weight room, and it's like something like I kind of enjoy, so it's been pretty easy for me to like spend time in there and really work on that part of my game. And you know, I think the biggest thing on the court is just like that mid-range area. Like I got pretty uncomfortable in there when I would get in there, whether that's like I didn't really have any floater, I didn't like taking a mid-range jump shot, so just getting more comfortable like when I get my feet kind of into the paint, and honestly trying to just add a floater to my game. And
so yeah, the internet had its fun with the photo. But here's the truth behind it. That wasn't an illusion. That was intentional. That was a 22-year-old star putting in the work so she can carry a franchise and go toe-to-toe with the best in the world. The muscles were real, and so is the mindset. Now, this was one of those moments in the interview where everything just slowed down a bit, not because it got tense or dramatic, but because it got real. When Caitlin was asked about Paige Bueckers, you could hear the shift in her tone immediately. The jokes paused, the banter settled, and what came out next was just pure respect. Her poise, Caitlin said without hesitation. That's something you really need coming into the W. And she's right. because for all the talk about scoring, athleticism, and highlight reels, poise is what separates the stars from the moment makers, especially in the WNBA where rookies are thrown into new cities, new systems, high-pressure expectations, and suddenly they're expected to lead. Immediately, Caitlin's been living that life, and when she looks at Paige, she sees someone who's built for it too. Nothing seems to faze her, she said. She's mature, composed, it's rare, and coming from Caitlin, that's not just a compliment, that's a signal that the two biggest names in women's hoops aren't sizing each other up, they're appreciating the grind. She didn't stop there either. She broke down Paige's on-court skill set, calling out her 3-level scoring, especially her mid-range game, which, by the way, Caitlin says is one of the best I've seen. That's high praise from a player who just told us she's been working hard to master that same zone. And what's even more interesting is how Caitlin sees Paige's fit at the next level. She pointed out that Bukers can play on the ball or off, which gives her flexibility on any roster, especially next to a playmaker like Arike Ogunbowale in Dallas. She's versatile. She'll fit right in, Caitlin said confidently. And then with a grin, they should honestly move all their games to American Airlines Center. That wasn't just a joke. It was a nod to Paige's star power. Caitlin gets it. Paige isn't just talented. She draws crowds, shifts energy, and adds a spotlight to every arena she walks into. Sound familiar? So when you hear one generational talent talk about another this way, you start to realize this isn't rivalry. This is legacy in the making. Mutual respect between two future MVPs who know exactly what it takes and aren't afraid to say it. And if the WNBA's future really is in their hands, it's in very good ones.
I think her poise, like, that's something you need coming into the W. It like all hits you so fast. Is like you're moving to a new city, you're trying to understand new teammates, you have a new coach, while you're trying to live up to all these expectations. And I think that's like one of the greatest things about her game is just her poise and her maturity, and nothing ever seems to faze her.
All right, after all the deep talk, leadership insights, and respectful rival analysis, this interview took a turn, and it was hilarious. Because what happens when you put Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and Caitlin Clark in a virtual room together? You get stories, you get sarcasm, and yeah, you definitely get a full breakdown of technical fouls. It started when Diana, no stranger to ejections, casually dropped a gem about the time she picked up a tech in the first quarter, and then got tossed in the third. It was time to go home, she said, laughing. Picked one up quick and then I got another. Took my ass to the back and chilled out. The delivery was peak Diana. Zero shame, full swagger, and everyone on the call cracking up. Then Sue chimes in with the opposite energy. Cool, calm, claiming her clean record like she's applying for sainthood. I've never been ejected, she said with a grin. Refs love me. Cue Caitlin, deadpan. Delivery, perfectly timed, I got 6. And yeah, she meant 6 technical fouls in just one WNBA season. For context, the league rule says 7 and you're suspended. She was 1 away. One little flare-up from missing a game. But what made it even better was how she explained them. Because you'd think they were for arguing with refs, getting in people's faces, right? Nope. Half of mine weren't even for talking to refs, she said. I got one for slapping the stanchion. One for accidentally hitting someone in the eye. Another for I don't even know what. Even Sue had to laugh. Diana just shook her head like a proud mentor watching her chaotic little sister follow in her footsteps. And then came the over-under moment. Sue and Diana betting on how many techs Caitlin will rack up this season. Over or under 4.5? Over, Diana says without missing a beat. I already told Stephanie White. Just 2, Caitlin promised. Spoiler alert, nobody believes her. But underneath the laughs, there was something deeper going on. This wasn't just a funny segment. This was a bonding moment. Caitlin wasn't just the new kid trying to earn their respect. She was right there in the mix, holding her own, going joke for joke, story for story. And when legends like Diana and Sue are openly teasing you, that's the WNBA equivalent of getting initiated into the club. This whole segment showed us a side of Caitlin we don't always get to see. The humor, the edge, the fact that she's not just a competitor, she's also a complete personality. One that fits perfectly into the league's culture. And the best part, she knows where the line is now. She's got the fire. She just needs to keep it on the right side of the whistle. Maybe.
I picked one up quick in the first quarter, which is, you're always doomed when you pick up a quick one. And then I picked one up in the third quarter and it was time to go home. So I took my ass to the back and chilled out, and my team got the win, and we went from there. But
How
I
many
had to make.
second goals did you get last year?
Say that again, Kaylin.
How many second goals did you get last year?
So last year, I think, what's the I think the limit is 7 and you get
7,
suspended?
yeah. You got 6.
I got 6.
I got 2 for slapping the stanchion of the hoop, and then I got another one for accidentally hitting somebody in the eye. So half of mine weren't even like me getting to talk to the ref, which was dumb.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring it back to basketball for a second. Because beyond the jokes and viral moments, Caitlin's mindset going into this season, it's laser focused. When Sue and Diana asked her how she felt about the new look Indiana Fever roster, you could see the excitement kick in. But it wasn't naive hype. It was grounded. It was real. She knows what's coming. On paper, yeah, we've got a really good team, she said, but we only have a short amount of time to put it all together. Let's break that down for a second, Indiana added. A ton of talent this offseason. Natasha Howard, Dewana Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Brianna Turner. That's experience, versatility, defense, leadership. Add that to a core of Caitlin, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. That's a squad, a legit playoff caliber roster. But with that much new blood, 7 new players, the challenge isn't talent, it's chemistry. Caitlin gets that. Training camp starts the 27th. Then we've got back-to-back preseason games on May 3rd and 4th, she said. That's not a lot of time. This isn't college anymore. You don't get 6 months to gel with teammates, you get days. Maybe a couple of scrimmages, then it's go time. But Caitlin's not stressed. She's strategizing. She's already thinking like a vet. Not just about what she needs to do, but how to get everyone on the same page. What we needed was experience, she said. Last year we were just young. She even called it out, not as a dig, but as a fact. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the Fever's core players, has never really had a shot at a deep playoff run. Aaliyah Boston, rookie year. The team was talented, but raw. Now, they've got vets who've been there, who know what it takes in late-game situations, hostile road environments, playoff-level intensity, that leadership in the locker room. It's going to be big, Caitlin said. Whether it's DB, Natasha, Sydney, it matters. And what makes this moment even more powerful is how Caitlin's own leadership is evolving. She's not coming in as the new kid anymore. She's already talking like someone who's taking ownership of the team's identity. She's embracing the work, the process, the messiness of trying to blend styles, personalities, expectations, and turn it into something that actually wins. Because Caitlin Clark doesn't just want to play well, she wants to win. And now, she's got the roster, the coach, and the mindset to make that happen. If there was ever a moment in the interview that showed just how much Caitlin Clark understands the game, it was this one, when she started talking about UConn, and more specifically Gino Auriemma. Because yeah, Caitlin's faced tough teams. She's been double-teamed, face-guarded, denied the ball, you name it. But when she talked about going up against Gino's teams, there was a mix of frustration.
Obviously on paper we have a really good team, but you only have, we start training camp I think on the 27th, and then we have a back-to-back of preseason games on May 3rd and May 4th. So it's you have a very short amount of time to put that together, and 7 new pieces, and whether we carry 11 or 12, more than half of our roster, that's a hard thing within itself, but we should be pretty good, and I'm excited about it. I think what we needed was, we added a lot more experience. In the playoffs, we just didn't have that. We were a young group.
An admiration that only happens when a player knows they've been in a chess match. They always had the best scouts against me, she said. You could just tell how smart he is. And when Caitlin Clark, arguably the most scouted player in women's college basketball history, says someone made her uncomfortable, you listen. She wasn't bitter about it either. You could tell. It kind of fueled her. She respected it. She loved it. There were games I'd go into and just think, how do they know every move I'm about to make? That's the Gino effect. His teams don't just play hard, they play smart. And for someone like Caitlin, who thrives on anticipation, rhythm, reading the defense, going up against a coach who's one step ahead, that's like playing a video game on nightmare difficulty. She talked about facing Nika Mule, calling her one of the best defenders I've ever faced, a full-court pest, physical, relentless, picking her up at 94 feet. And still, Gino always had a backup plan, a wrinkle, a counter. He always had something in his back pocket, Caitlin said. You'd think you adjusted, and then, boom, he'd switch it up again. That's next-level coaching, and Caitlin recognized it not as an obstacle, but as a compliment, because when Gino throws the entire playbook at you, it means he sees you as that dangerous. It also shows you just how much Caitlin studies the game herself. She's not just remembering box scores. She's breaking down coverage types, defensive schemes, decision trees. She's watching tape with a purpose, learning how coaches try to stop her so she can flip the script next time. And that kind of awareness, that's what makes great players unstoppable. Not just the talent, not just the range, but the ability to adjust faster than the defense can react. So yeah, Gino gave her problems, but he also gave her a blueprint, how to read, react, and find solutions in real time. And now that she's in the WNBA, those lessons are already showing up in her game, because when you've gone toe-to-toe with the best college coach of all time, a rookie season in the pros doesn't look quite so intimidating.
Well, I think they just are so disciplined. Like, that's just, they're going to do what they do. They're going to do it really well. And also, I think, like, for myself, facing his teams, like, they always had some of the best scouts against me. Like, you can tell how smart he is.
Yeah.
Like, he understands the game. He's coached against so many really good players. And, you know, there were games I would go into and, like, the scouts were just like, it was just like, come on. Like, why are you going under ball screens? Why are you in drop coverage? But, like, he just made it difficult.
So yeah, this wasn't just another interview. Caitlin Clark didn't come on to play it safe, smile politely, and dip. She came to speak truth, to own her story, and to remind everyone that she's not just a rising star, she's already here. She held her own with two of the greatest to ever do it. She addressed the drama, showed love to her peers, clapped back with class, and peeled back the curtain on everything. From the weight room grind to game day matchups, from viral moments to locker room realities, and the craziest part, she's just getting started. This conversation was funny, sharp, vulnerable, competitive, everything you'd want from the face of the next generation. But make no mistake, Caitlin Clark isn't waiting to become the future of women's basketball. She already is. So if you're as locked in as we are, let us know in the comments. What was your favorite part of the interview? Do you think she hits that over on text this season? Smash that like button if you felt the energy. Subscribe if you're ready for a massive WNBA season ahead, and tap the bell so you don't miss a single update. This is going to be one for the books. And Caitlin Clark? Yeah, she's writing the next chapter. We'll see you in the next one.